My sister called me on a Thursday evening at 7:43 p.m. She was crying so hard I could barely understand what she was saying. I pulled the car over because when your sister calls crying that hard, you pull over. I said, "Hey, slow down. What happened?" She said, between the crying, between the gasping, she said, "I'm pregnant." I said, Okay, that's okay." She said, "It's Marcus's." Marcus was my boyfriend, had been for 2 years. I sat in my car on the side of the road and I felt the world rearrange itself in a way that it never fully rearranges back. I said, "I'm coming over." I drove to her apartment. I held her while she cried. I told her we would figure it out together as sisters, because that is what I believed then, that whatever had happened, however incomprehensible, however devastating, she was still my sister. And sisters figure things out together. I asked to use her bathroom. Under her sink, behind the cleaning products, behind the extra toilet paper, a box. I picked it up. Fake pregnancy tests, purchased from Amazon 6 days earlier. The packing slip was still in the box. Her name, her address, the date. I stood in my sister's bathroom holding a box of fake pregnancy tests, and I understood completely, suddenly, without any remaining confusion, what had actually been happening. I washed my hands. I went back to the living room. I sat with her for another hour. I said nothing about the box, not yet. Stay with me. Her name is Sophie, 2 years older than me, the one who had always been, and I want to be precise here, the one who needed more. More attention, more reassurance, more of whatever the room had to offer. Not out of malice. I don't think it was malice, even now. Out of something more complicated. A persistent sense of lack that no amount of having ever seemed to fill. She had always noticed my boyfriends, in a way I had learned to observe without naming. She was warm with them, warmer than felt entirely natural. The specific warmth of someone who is auditioning for a role they're not supposed to want. With Marcus, it had been the same. I had noticed, I had said nothing, because she was my sister, and I trusted her in the way you trust people you have known your entire life, not based on evidence, but based on history. History, it turns out, is not always reliable evidence. I sat with Sophie for an hour after finding the box. I listened to her cry. I said the things you say. I did not mention the box. I drove home. I called Marcus, not to accuse, to ask one question. I said, "Have you and Sophie slept together?" A pause, long enough to be its own answer. Then he said, "I need to explain." I said, "Yes or no." He said, "Yes, once, a month ago. It was a mistake." I said, "She called me tonight. She says she's pregnant. I need you to know something." I went to use her bathroom. I found a box of fake pregnancy tests she ordered from Amazon 6 days ago. Another pause. This one different. The silence of someone recalibrating everything they thought was happening. He said, "What?" I said, "I have the packing slip. I took a photograph of it. I need you to decide right now what kind of person you want to be, because what happens next depends entirely on that decision." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I'll call her." I said, "Not yet. First, you're going to come here, and we're going to talk." He came. We talked for 3 hours. At the end of those 3 hours, he called Sophie. I was in the room when he called her. He put it on speaker at my request. He said, "Sophie, I need to ask you something directly, and I need you to be honest with me." She said, "Of course." He said, "Are you actually pregnant?" A pause. She said, "Marcus, He said, "Sophie, are you pregnant? Yes or no?" The silence that followed was one of the longest silences I have ever sat inside. Then she said, very quietly, "No." Marcus looked at me. I said across the room, loud enough for the phone, "Sophie, I found the box." Another silence. She started to cry. Real crying this time. A different quality than the performance on the phone earlier. The crying of someone who has been caught and knows it completely. She said my name. I said, "Don't." I took the phone. I said, I love you. I will probably love you forever because you are my sister and I don't know how to stop. But what you did tonight, the phone call, the performance, the plan, that is something I am not going to pretend didn't happen. I need time. A lot of time. Don't call me. I hung up. Marcus and I ended things, not because of Sophie, or not only because of Sophie, because of what the night had revealed about who he was when no one was supposed to find out. Once, a month ago, a mistake. Maybe, but a mistake he had been living with silently while I drove to his apartment and cooked him dinner and trusted him. That silence was its own answer. Sophie and I did not speak for 4 months. When she finally reached out, a letter, handwritten, which I thought was either genuine or calculated, and have never fully determined which. She said she had been in therapy, that she understood what she had done, that she was not asking for forgiveness, just for me to know she was trying. I wrote back 3 sentences. I said, I got your letter. I'm not ready. I'll let you know when I am. That was 8 months ago. I have not let her know yet. I don't know if I will. What I know is this. The bathroom was the pivot. That specific, ordinary moment, washing my hands, looking under the sink, changed everything. If I hadn't looked under the sink, I would have spent months inside a story that was entirely constructed. The truth was always there. It was just behind the cleaning products and the extra toilet paper. Sometimes the most important things are the ones you find when you're looking for something else. New story every day. Subscribe so you never miss one. Just wait.